Okay, so hi everybody. Today I have got my good friend and a client of mine called Jeannie Burton with me. And Jeannie has worked with me earlier this year, for a 3-month program. And we worked together on a number of things, including weight loss, nutritional therapy, and coaching. So really the whole shebang of what I do. And I asked Jeannie whether she would be happy to have a chat with me about how she found the programme, and what she thought of working with me, so that I could share it with you and you can kind of find out a little bit more from somebody else about how I work. So Jeannie, hi there. Thank you for
Hello there.
Hi. So we'll dive straight in, if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
So
sure.
firstly, could you tell everybody what led you in the beginning to get in touch with me, and what exactly you wanted support with?
Okay, so earlier in the year, it was around March time, I think I contacted you. There were basically three factors, main factors that I wanted to focus on really. The first one was my ailments. So I, like a lot of people, I suffer with general sort of ailments like hay fever and asthma, eczema, and allergies in general. And as a great believer of you are what you eat, I was pretty certain I could probably sort of self-heal and feel better through diet and nutrition alone, really. So I thought that that was a really good reason for sort of embarking on this program. This second reason was lethargy. So for somebody that's actually always been able to sleep well, never had a problem sleeping, I was on a flight to Australia last Christmas, and I slept for sort of something like 17 out of the 21 hours, which I thought was great at the time. But subsequent to then, with everybody sort of saying the same thing, God, you're lucky, I wish I could sleep on a flight, I thought actually it's not that natural. And even then I struggled to stay awake the 4 hours that I did. So I thought, I'm just becoming a bit more sluggish day by day, really. And I thought that needs to be looked at, I think, as well. And then the last thing was to, if possible, with everything else, look at losing a bit of weight. I wanted to get back down to, as a lot of women do, back down to my sort of wedding weight, and sort of shift the sort of 10 pounds stone that I'd put on since I got married. So they were the first three factors really, and why I contacted you in March particularly was because I knew the program was for 3 months, and my hay fever season for me starts around the beginning of July, so I thought that kind of gave us that sort of time process to work towards it. And if anything was going to be helped, then it would be helped in time for the hay fever season, which was great, with an added incentive of a holiday to Greece in July as well. So I thought, well, that would be great. If the weight comes off as well, then I'll be beach ready, and looking and feeling a bit better by then. So that's why, really.
Yeah. Okay, great. And so we had our discovery call, which I do with all my clients. So what actually made you decide from that call to go ahead with the program?
The call was really good, and I have to say, I was really impressed with your professionalism, the fact that you went through step by step what the program included, and even down to sort of the pre-work that needed to be done by me and by you, before we even met, with sort of the food diary and lots and lots of questions that needed answering, etc. And the fact that you gave me reassurance throughout the call that during the program that you were there to sort of help guide and support through WhatsApp and email, etc. So it's not a case of just throwing someone in at the deep end and then disappearing for 2 weeks until you meet up again. There was that, and I just felt really overwhelmed by your commitment to the program, actually, and to me, and we didn't know each other before this, obviously, and just through all those factors, I just felt a confidence that I was doing the right thing, and that with your sort of passion and knowledge, that you were the person I wanted to do it with, really. So yeah, that's why.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. And yeah, that's something that I think, I do try and get across to people, is that because it's a supported program, You know, I don't want to you know, I've worked with people in the past before I sort of trained as in what I do, and I felt very much that you kind of left on your own in between sessions, and you know, you didn't know what you were supposed to be doing. And actually I wanted to change that and make sure that people knew that if they're working with me, they can contact me anytime. You know, whether that's on WhatsApp, which is how we communicated, isn't it? Or email, or even pick up the phone. We had sessions in between as well, phone calls, just check in to make sure that, you know, you're on track. Because the worst thing is if you're working with somebody quite deeply and, you know, trying to get, you know, some really big changes in their life, and then, you know, they've got to wait 2 weeks to ask you questions, it just doesn't work. So that's why I do it like that. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even however small the question was, even if I was in the supermarket, for instance, and I messaged you about you know, something that I was unsure of, or you know, a nutritional thing, or a product, or whatever, or food, or I would message you, and you know, you're not sitting on your phone, it's not instantaneous, but by the time I'd finished my shopping, ordinarily you'd probably come back to me. So, you know, you were exceptionally good at that as well. You would always come back really quickly, definitely within the day. So it meant that you weren't stalled, you know, you weren't sort of left in limbo at all, which was really, really good. It really helped that you felt that you had that constant support.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you felt that. And have you ever had any coaching before? Is that something that you had done before?
Well, the life coaching that we did, I've never had any life coaching before. When I was younger, I did have some therapy, and of course, the difference between the two is with therapy, you know, a therapist will look at helping you deal with, you know, past and previous kind of challenges or traumas, or things that have gone on in your life previously that you're having challenging situations with. But with life coaching, it's very much about here and now and moving forward and looking into the future, and making the most of what you are and where you are and where you're going. So that was what was really, really interesting with you. You know, I knew that it wasn't going to, you know, be bringing up everything that had kind of gone on in the past, but really working towards what's here and now. And I know you and I discussed various sort of current issues going on in my life, fairly currently, and we talked to options and ways for me to work with them going forward. And I think you'll agree that although it's work in progress, I've made quite a lot of, you know, progress with it, and psychologically I feel much better, in a much better place, and just feel like I'm looking forward to the future and, you know, what it holds now, as opposed to being a bit daunted by it. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. And I have definitely noticed a big change from when I first met you. Just in your level of calmness, you're just a lot calmer than you were. Hopefully that's a good feeling for you as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it makes a big difference. Just one thing makes a big difference to lots of other things. Yeah, for sure.
And what were your initial thoughts about the program, and how does it differ to other things that you've tried in the past?
Well, if I'm totally honest, I was really daunted after we first met, and I think because you messaged me 2 or 3 days after we first met, and you said, "How's it going?" And I was totally honest with you, and I just thought, I'm pretty daunted by it all. Yeah. But I mean, you know, and first I give the reasons why for that is that, you know, it is a big overhaul, it's a big change, it's a big. There's lots of information which you give, you know, lots of information and recipes and all sorts of things, and so it's looking through them, and the planning that comes with it is phenomenal to start with. You know, it's planning meals, planning weeks, planning what you're going to drink, planning your snacks, it's planning what dinners you're going to cook. So there's planning. And my food shopping that I did after we met took me about 2 hours, and I came out of the supermarket, I was exhausted, you know, and I thought, oh my Lord, I can't be doing with this every week. But actually, you know, the thing you have to remember is within 2 to 3 days, and it was really that quickly, my ailments started to feel better. I had a renewed energy, my breathing was better, my eczema, my skin irritants were better. So it does work pretty straight away, and that in itself gives you a great incentive to keep on track. And what starts off as being a bit of a chore just starts to become habit, and now it's just second nature. Going into the supermarket, it's back to whizzing in and out in half an hour. You know, it's just second nature now. What you eat and what you drink, and remembering your snacks and all sorts. So yeah. That's, I have to say, to start with, the first 2 or 3 days were pretty daunting, but immediately, very, very soon, and I'm not talking about weeks, literally within a few days, within a week, you feel so much better, and it gives you such an incentive to carry on. And then with regards to sort of ways that I tried in the past. There were different sort of diets when I was younger. My mum sort of, always looked out for me, having a daughter with so many sort of allergies and ailments. And I think there was a hay diet and other things, other sort of, quick fad diets that I tried. But they weren't sustainable. So a few pounds would come off and I'd feel a little bit better in myself. But there wasn't anything that made such a remarkable difference that really incentivized you to continue. So again, they were quite short-lived, and then you just go back to square one afterwards. So yeah, that.
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say, I think the thing with feeling a little bit daunted in the beginning when you get started. I mean, what we did was we actually did the review of your kitchen, didn't we? And went through your cupboards.
Yes,
and actually
that's right.
And, not everybody wants to do it as full on and as you're very much about detail, and you wanted to know exactly what you should be doing, and then you were going to follow it. And not everybody wants to make that change straight away. But it did mean that you needed to replace a lot of stuff and buy in quite a lot of things that you didn't already have.
That's right.
And I think that can be a little bit daunting to start with. But as you say, once you start eating this way, and I mean, it's not completely alien, is it? It's not like
not at all, not at all.
But when you start balancing your blood sugar, which is the way I teach people to eat, and it's not a diet, but it's a way of life, you do feel better because your blood sugar and your energy is balanced. So you sleep better, you work better, everything, and your mood lifts because you're getting the right nutrients as well. So
that's right. And I think just two other things I just quickly want to point out was as soon as I found and knew where things were in the supermarket, because all of us just rely on grabbing the same things each week, which is really, really quick, and it's easy, and it's repetitive, and it's habitual, and it's great. But actually there were things that I needed to stop buying and other things I needed to start buying. So as soon as I knew where they were in the supermarket, that was it. I was whizzing around, and I know where they are now. So it's that's definitely easy. And you have to remember that with me as well, I had quite severe gut issues. So you advised with regards to not having dairy and not having gluten. So that was a big step in the beginning. It wasn't So it wasn't just a case of following the program as it is. There were other things that had to be factored in for me due to me and my personal circumstances. So again, that added that kind of weight to my shoulders, thinking, oh, hell's bells, I've got that to consider as well. So yeah, again, for other people it probably wouldn't be as daunting, but yeah, quite definitely I just wanted to point those factors out.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's great. And what did you find most useful and or most enjoyable about the program?
Well, enjoyable was simply by feeling so different from what I was putting in my body. I just couldn't believe the difference that it would make, that it did make. You know, from straight away being, you know, having a clearer chest, and nasally, I wasn't, you know, nasally anymore. And also I had a clearer head and mind. I wake up in the mornings and I would be so much clearer. And again, you know, it's really how you feel. Is if you're feeling great, then you're enjoying it. It's an automatic kind of solution to what you're doing. If you're doing something that's making you feel good, you're going to carry on doing it. Yeah. So that was definitely one thing, was how it was making me feel. But also a really big thing, and I know you mentioned earlier that it's not a diet, it's a way of life. And like I said to you, nobody likes that word diet. It's just got such a stigma to it. But I enjoyed the fact that I never weighed foods. I never had to, you know, calorie count. And yet I was eating as much as I did, and that was, and I know other people that you've spoken to have said, you know, I can't believe how much I was eating and still losing weight. You know, you said, and some weeks, if you remember, you were saying to me, you need to eat more, and you know, that's 3 meals and 2 snacks, and it, you know, I kind of kept thinking, my God, I can't be losing weight having eaten all this week, and the weight just gradually kept creeping off, and it was a steady loss, wasn't it, V? It was, you know, 1.5, 2 pounds sometimes a week. Sometimes it'd be a pound a week, but it was coming off. And some weeks I'd think, gosh, I've had seconds and thirds this week of my dinner. There's no way and I'd meet you and you'd be, yep, another pound's gone this week. And I'd be like, can't have, you know. And I have to point out that, you know, to everybody, this isn't just sitting there stuffing my face. I do exercise every week, 3 or 4 times a week, quite definitely. So I'm not just saying you can eat as much as you want and still lose weight. There is that great balance, of course.
Yeah,
that's right.
But it's the right foods and also the right amount for you, and that's what we have to work out.
Right. That's right. And days when I was doing high aerobic activity, then I would be more hungry. And you said to me, well, have as much as you need to satiate your appetite. So I did. And that was great. I really enjoyed that. And do you know what? It really made it feel not like a diet. Because, you know, and I followed recipes. I've done a lot of your recipes, which are great. I've also done some other recipes which I found online, which I really enjoy. And I've never cooked so much in my life now, but I really enjoy it. So yeah, that was great. They were the most enjoyable things. And then the most useful was the nutritional learning journey that you've taken me on, really, you know, from learning ways about, and I know I specifically asked you to discuss it with you one meeting that we had about different fats, you know, the right fats, the wrong fats, and also how to cook fats. Or how to use fats in cooking, because there are different ways, and obviously you get different nutritional benefits from all of them. So that was a learning process for me, which is great. And also, you know, what foods to eat together to keep your blood sugar level balanced and that sort of thing. So it's been a really good learning program for me, and I'm not saying I know everything by far, but just I've learned so much, and I've definitely learned, for me, you know, for the time being, to carry on with how I've got, you know, with how I've got. So that's been the most useful, definitely.
Fabulous. And I mean, the most important thing, obviously, results. What were the results that you felt you got from the program? What benefits have you seen?
So yeah, of course. So so the benefits that, I mean, well, they're unsurmountable, really. You know, there's so many, but my allergies have literally disappeared. That my hay fever, I had no hay fever this summer, which was just phenomenal. And when a lot of people have hay fever, as I said earlier, and they have it at different levels, but I suffered really badly as a child and as an adult, so much so that I had exams at home. I couldn't do them at school. I've had injections all my life. I've had time off school. I had time off work, and there's just never been anything that's really really helped me with my hay fever. So when I say that I didn't have any hay fever this summer, was phenomenal, was absolutely incredible. I think I said to you recently, it's probably the first summer in my life in the UK that I've enjoyed, because I just felt so well. And my asthma also. So from having 2 inhalers twice a day to 1 inhaler every 2 or 3 weeks is just incredible. I had my yearly asthma check recently, actually a month or so ago, and the nurse was just amazed by my peak flow and my inhaler use, etc. So she was amazed by me. And obviously you had the full going over, so she weighed me as well, and she was like, oh my gosh, you've lost quite a bit of weight, that's great. So yeah, she was really, really pleased with me, which was good. And like I said earlier, my mind, I've got this renewed energy, which is great, but I've got a clearer mind. So as you mentioned earlier, I was always sort of here, there and everywhere, and I just seem to have kind of got a much calmer mind now. And more than anything, it's helped with my work, because I start a project or a topic and I finish it off, whereas I don't start and then go off onto something else 5 minutes later. So I've managed to actually use it in all sorts of walks of my life, really. And it has been, I just feel like I'm in a happier sort of disposition now, really, much calmer. And I know a lot of people, touching on that subject, a lot of people, they want to do these heavy aerobic classes to lose weight and eat less and, exercise more. But I think fairly early on, you said to me that I was actually doing too much high aerobic stuff. And what I needed was actually to become slightly more mindful and give my body a chance to catch up with itself, really. So I cut out some of my high aerobic exercises, and I started Pilates again, which I've done previously, and meditation, and it's really, really helped. And it's helped with everything, I think, actually. Yeah, quite definitely. So yeah, they're definitely the main things. And then the weight loss, I've got down to 1.5 stone now. So I got down to what I wanted, and a few more pounds have come off. And it has plateaued now. It's, I'm not losing any more, and I feel great where I am. So this is where I'm going to stay, definitely.
Brilliant. And actually, the hay fever thing, it's a story that I tell a lot, because I was so blown away by it. I mean, that was one of the big things that you said to me when we first started working together.
Yeah.
Was, when we went through your health questionnaire and, the different things, that was the one you said, but I really don't think you can help me with it. I'd love it if you could,
yeah.
But I don't think you can. And, I wasn't sure, whether we were going to get the results or not. But when we got to July, which is when your hay fever starts, and you messaged me and said, oh my God, I've not had to take one antihistamine.
Yet. And I kept saying yet.
And I was like, oh my God. And then every time I spoke to you, weeks later, I was like, have you taken an antihistamine? Like, and then when you told me about the asthma, that was again something that I hadn't anticipated. But just to mention, what we did with that. So, with the hay fever, part of that comes from working on the gut. But what was really the big thing was actually the essential oils that we used, which are antihistamine oils, and with the asthma the same. Again, when you improve your gut health, that can have an impact on all aspects of your health, because everything starts in the gut. But the blend of oils, which is called, it's now called Air, isn't it? Made such a difference for you that I think you were kind of trying to use it instead of the inhalers as the preventative. And that, I think that's fantastic, because if people can start to do that, I'll never say to people, don't have an inhaler with you, because you have to for safety. But if you can reduce your preventative ones, it means that you're not taking a daily dose of steroids, on a regular basis, but actually just using a puffer. You said to me, you had a cold or a cough and you got a bit tight and you did use your puffer, but using it sporadically like that rather than every day is going to have such an impact on your health.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And during the summer months, you know, again, it's an investment, and I'm not saying to people, you know, I just sort of, you know, inhaled once a day, you know, the breeze, or the air as it was called. You know, I was diffusing most days at home, and and now I've been diffusing today, and I will be inhaling it every morning, every evening, when I go to bed and when I get up. So I sort of take it instead of my inhalers. When I used to take my inhalers, I got into obviously a routine of taking them. So instead of taking them, but yeah, they're next to the bed, and I've got them there, and I've got one in my handbag, and that's exactly what the nurse said to me. You know, make sure you have them somewhere, that you've got one, because, you know, and I wouldn't dream of going away or for the weekend or on holiday without one. But it's been phenomenal, the success I've had with the oils. And you know, the blends that you gave me to start with, that you gave me for my hay fever, I went through that. You know, you gave me a little drop that you'd kindly blended up for me, and I went through that really quickly. And I've now obviously bought the oils myself, so I make them up myself. And during the summer months, I didn't go out without them. I kept them on me in my handbag or in my work bag or my sports bag, and I kept them on me, and I kept having them whenever I thought about having them. That could be hourly or more, or every couple of hours, or so. It is about that. Now the summer's over and the hay fever's gone, or sorry, the hay fever season's gone. I'm not using that blend now, but I'm still using those individual oils for different things. But I will still continue every day. I will still use the Breathe for my asthma. And like you say, not putting that steroid in. And I've been doing that since I was 7, so it will have a big impact on how I am, quite definitely how I feel.
Fabulous, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add? I think we've covered most things. Is there anything else you wanted to add at the end?
No, I really just want to say, you know, if anybody is even thinking about, just making some changes, and you know, they were enormous changes for me, but if you just want to make some changes to your life, on how you feel or how you look, then you just need to get in touch with V, and you know, she's a mountain of knowledge, and just really to put you on track, and the rest is there for you to just grab with both hands. But I wouldn't hesitate in recommending the program V. It really has been life changing for me this year. So yeah, it's been integral, and it's made my year one of the best years so far, you know, recently. And so yeah, just book on it and don't hesitate. But and also that I will also be continuing, you know, with detox programs and things like that with you in the future, you know, possibly after Christmas, no doubt. So yeah, it's a case of every now and again. And of course we'll be in touch, because I'm constantly learning about the oils from you, and there's new oils out and new blends and things like that. So it's a big learning curve, but it's really enjoyable, and it's really one to grab with both hands and just book on it.
Thank you. That's lovely, and I really appreciate that. And that, you know, just to say that it's been a really lovely experience working with you and watching you grow and change and everything else. And I think I said to you when we started, I said to you that when I work with a client, you know, on a program like this, they'll be in my life, you know, ongoing. It's not that we get to the end of the program and it stops. I stay in contact with my clients. I'll drop them an email. You know, we speak quite a lot, but you know, because we've become friends. But you know, even clients that you know, I perhaps don't see so much, I still will you know, drop in, you know, to just drop them an email and ask how they are and just check in with people. And I say to people, you know, I'm always here to answer your questions, because I don't want it to be that, you know, it's just 3 months and then that's it. You know, it's ongoing. It's a connection. It's an ongoing relationship. So yeah.
And that was the difference with therapy years ago. You know, when I got to the end of therapy, you know, you never see that person again. So it's kind of defeats the whole object of having the therapy, because then I felt bereaved, because I thought, oh my gosh, you know, we've come to the end of the therapy now. And yeah, and I did. I went home and cried my eyes out, because, you know, you just sort of think, oh my God, you know, poured my warts and all guts out to this person for 6 months or whatever it was, and now they've gone, and that was awful. And actually, I think on our penultimate meetup, I think you'd mentioned that we only had one more to go, and the realization really hit me. And I was driving home thinking, oh, I feel really sad. You know, I didn't, because the time went so quickly, it really did go quickly. And I suddenly thought, oh my Lord. And I think it was all those feelings from years ago that came back, thinking, but of course you reassure me, is that just because there's only one more, you know, meet up, it doesn't mean that's it. I'm never going to see you again. So of course it's been great, and you know, we have kept in touch a lot, and especially through the oils and down the Thames Club, and so yeah, it has been. It's great, and it's just the start of something. The program. It's not a start and a finish. It's definitely just the start.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Well,
you know, you've been very open and honest, and you know, I appreciate it, because I think that for other people's benefit, you know, to see how it could, because deciding to work with somebody on a program, and quite an intensive program, is a big thing, especially if you don't know what to expect, because this isn't something that, you know, we will commonly do in our lives. And it's really difficult for me to explain to people exactly what we do. So you've really, you know, eloquently and brilliantly explained it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I've just really emphasised that if anybody is just even thinking about it, just at least have an initial chat with you, so you can go through, because that's all I was doing to start with, was just having an initial thought about things. But once I'd spoken to you and you'd really gone through everything with me, I thought, yeah, this is definitely the sort of thing that I want. So it didn't take me long. I think within a couple of days we'd booked it up.
Yeah. Brilliant. Lovely. Thank you so much. I will see you
soon. You're welcome. Yeah. Thanks, Fee. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay. Oh.